Yep, nice and easy. We're done with that though. Jump rope. Yeah. Whenever I skip rope, I can't use these wireless headphones. They fall right out of my ears. So of course, it would be helpful if I could get the rope itself not to fall out of my hands. Finish my protein shake and then we'll hit this. New name, who this? Yes, sir. For those of you who don't know me, my name is BullMuscle. For those of you who know me as Beer Battered Ag, yes, I'm going through a rebrand. This seems like a pretty good time to talk about that, so let's go ahead and talk about it. I'm a die-hard Aggie.
The eyes of Texas are upon you. That is the song they sing so well. Sounds like hell! So goodbye to Texas University. We're gonna beat you all to chiggeroo-de-rim, rock tough, real stuff, Texas A&M. Goodbye.
We get a little bit more all. So why can't I click all? Oh, yeah, there it goes. Nice. Alright, let's do one more bronze bar. If you adopt the mindset, and this is a quote from Jacob Fisker of Early Retirement Extreme, if you know that guy, 10 points to you. But it's a quote that I find unbelievably poignant in today's era. Spending money represents a failure to solve one's problems by smarter means. I'm gonna repeat that. Spending money represents a failure to solve one's problems by smarter means. That's painful. But yes, my friends, pure protein, as theirs makes no difference. From raw egg whites. It's disgusting, the taste is vile, and it smells. But 100. Yeah, my poor roommate has to deal with the farts that come from this, and as you might imagine, they're not pleasant. But let me go ahead and knock this bad boy down. Oh, that's vile. Yep, nice and easy. We're done with that though. Jump rope. Yeah. Whenever I skip rope, I can't use these wireless headphones. They fall right out of my ears. So of course, it would be helpful if I could get the rope itself not to fall out of my hands. Finish my protein shake and then we'll hit this. New name, who this? Yes, sir. For those of you who don't know me, my name is BullMuscle. For those of you who know me as Beer Battered Ag, yes, I'm going through a rebrand. This seems like a pretty good time to talk about that, so let's go ahead and talk about it. I'm a die-hard Aggie.
The eyes of Texas are upon you. That is the song they sing so well. Sounds like hell! So goodbye to Texas University. We're gonna beat you all to chiggeroo-de-rim, rock tough, real stuff, Texas A&M. Goodbye.
We get a little bit more all. So why can't I click all? Oh, yeah, there it goes. Nice. Alright, let's do one more bronze bar. If you adopt the mindset, and this is a quote from Jacob Fisker of Early Retirement Extreme, if you know that guy, 10 points to you. But it's a quote that I find unbelievably poignant in today's era. Spending money represents a failure to solve one's problems by smarter means. I'm gonna repeat that. Spending money represents a failure to solve one's problems by smarter means. That's painful. But yes, my friends, pure protein, as theirs makes no difference from raw egg whites. It's disgusting. The taste is vile, and it smells. But 100. Yeah, my poor roommate has to deal with the farts that come from this, and as you might imagine, they're not pleasant. But let me go ahead and knock this bad boy down. Oh, that's vile. Yep, nice and easy. We're done with that though. Jump rope. Yeah. Whenever I skip rope, I can't use these wireless headphones. They fall right out of my ears. So of course, it would be helpful if I could get the rope itself not to fall out of my hands. Finish my protein shake and then we'll hit this. New name, who this? Yes, sir. For those of you who don't know me, my name is BullMuscle. For those of you who know me as Beer Battered Ag, yes, I'm going through a rebrand. This seems like a pretty good time to talk about that, so let's go ahead and talk about it. I'm gonna die hard.
Good morning, everybody. Don't you just hate it when you have to use the bathroom right as you're going live? It's just the way it goes sometimes, you know? Well, as always, I'm your host, BullMuscle. Today we got a good show for you. We are going to hit shoulder press. Should be a pretty good one. Really don't have too much else to say other than that. It's chilly out here. I have to warm up a little. This damp too is the other thing. So go ahead and scoot that off to the side. Ooh, I forgot to get my headphones. I'll have to go back and get those. That's all right. Nobody's here yet. I get my headphones. That will get started. For a slightly lower level for shoulder press than I do for squats. I'll be right back, get my headphones. Sorry about that, y'all. Much better. Yeah, nobody's here yet anyway. Only says 4 people, but must all be lurkers today. That's cool, that's fine. Don't matter too much to me right now. Let's see here. Connected devices. Perfect. So, what do we got today? We have, again, shoulder press. I have been doing wide press. I'll talk about that in a minute. Nobody's here yet. No point in me saying so now. Also, the lighting is definitely fucking with the camera, so try to fix that. Not like how that lighting looks at all. I'm guessing
Might be a bit of fog on that lens. So let's just try and. That's a little bit better. Not really. Shit. I have to play around with the angle here a bit. See if that helps. Yeah, it's still not really great. We go the other way with it? No, that's gonna get the door. That's probably gonna be even worse. Have to play around with this one a bit. The lighting is just not doing us any favors in here today, now is it? That's not bad. All right, this might be the way to go today, right here. Yeah, you gotta work with what you're given. I don't know why we're getting that kind of, I don't know if it's like a diffusion effect or what, coming in. It's no brighter out than it normally is this time of day. Typically we don't seem to have these issues. There we go. Do a couple more sets to warm up on this. Since today we're doing sets of 5s, want to be pretty warm before we dive in. Make sure we don't hurt anything. So let's see here. Let's go. And don't worry, again, the shirt will come off, but gotta wait for, gotta get warm first before I do that. Okay, so it looks like it's deciding to not connect to my headphones. There they go. Don't know why it was being like that. Cool. We good? Okay, it just looks like nobody's in. Yeah, lighting's not preferable today. I might try and play with the overhead light. A little more light in here should probably make it a little bit easier. Hey, Eris, good to see you. Welcome on in. All right, so we're just warming up. Just gonna do a couple of reps of this, not too much. Oh yeah, that's nice and easy. That's not bad. All right. That's 175. This is what I think we're going to try for the 5s to start. Let's see how it feels. Yeah, why not? So my target weight is, I'm going to talk about this for a moment. So my target weight is, I want to be one rep maxing 225 on shoulder press. That's a strict military, right? So, you know, no movement below the hips. Just right there, go full lock. What I'm supposed to do today is 3x5 at 70%. So if we do the math on that, 70% by 225 is 157 pounds. And I would be fine with that, but last time last time I did shoulder press workout, my last press day, I was hitting 160 and even 165.
So to be going back down to 158, 157, or 155 seems kind of like a waste to me, especially if I'm going from 8 reps down to 5 reps. So we're gonna try and push it a bit heavier. 175 is closer to 80% than 70%. And if it's too heavy, we just go down weight. But I feel pretty confident about this. You know, if it's too much, you'll go down weight. So I am gonna move you guys further back, and I'm real sorry about the glares. Trying to figure out what to do about that, but there's not much. This over a touch, so it's not pulling on the machine. There we go. Okay. So let's see if I'm here. All right, that's good, because you guys will be able to see if I'm push pressing, which I should not be. This should be strict. Shouldn't be seeing any movement down below. All right, here we go. That wasn't bad. That felt pretty solid. That was 175. Felt pretty reasonable, pretty good. I think we're gonna stick to that. So, one other issue I've been having regarding, you know, I'm gonna try and do something real quick. This is bothering me. Cool. All right. Let's see if that works. Sometimes that makes the lights work a little bit better. Come on, son of a bitch. Fire! Come on. Let's try this one more time. Got it. Yeah, that's better. It's not ideal, but it's better. I'll take it. All right, so we got 2 more sets. 5 is easy, man. Shit. So this is another question I've had with this workout. You watch Alex Bromley's YouTube video describing the program. It says to do 5s of wide grip press, which I assume is a shoulder press with wide grip. But when you look on the Boost Camp site, it says to do wide grip bench. Now, I don't know if that's a typo or what. I would think it should be a variation of the shoulder press. But from everything I've read, I don't quite get the value of doing a wide grip press. It feels to me like it's more just beating up my shoulders and wrists. I'm gonna continue to do it, but it's just it's something I haven't been able to quite find the answer to. So if you guys have, if any of y'all are familiar with Alex Bromley's 70s powerlifter, please answer me that one. Let's go ahead and get set number 2 going. So I do a suicide or a thumbless grip on these. For what I've seen, it tends to be better for people who have issues, who've been having form issues. I've been trying to correct a lot of that, so that's where I've been going with it. Right. Five, you got this. It's not bad. Hey, Joji, how you doing? I felt pretty good. I'd like to get a 6th rep on that. So the other one that I've had trouble understanding, it's not written as clearly as it should be. He says, if any set on your base phase is within 3 reps worth of failure, it's too heavy. Now, what I don't understand about this is when he says the base phase, is he talking each week? Is he talking each wave? Or is he talking just the first, 60% workout, which we did several weeks ago? And the answer to that one is, I have no idea, and I wish I did. So I'm just going with 3x5, seeing how well it goes for me. So far, that felt pretty good. What we'll do next is we got 3x6 at behind the neck and wide bench. So that's going to be, let's see here, look at it. So I did behind the neck at 145 for sets of 8. So I think 155 is probably pretty reasonable for sets of 6. I'm going to do wide grip press at the end. I think behind the neck is more valuable than wide grip. I don't know. I wish I had some clarity on that one. And I like Bromley's stuff, but I think there's some things where he could have improved the clarity on what specifically he's trying to get you to do on his program. But otherwise, it's been overall a program I've really enjoyed doing so far. Frankly, compared to what I normally do, what I laughed at, and this is kind of the telltale sign that he's a more powerlifting oriented, I'm more bodybuilding oriented. He's talking about how this is extremely high volume, and compared to what I normally do, it's not. Like I've more or less added more volume to pretty much everything, but the highest volumizing leg workouts. Like I've added Jefferson deadlifts, I've added Arnold presses, I've added a lot of triceps workouts and biceps workouts on bench days. I've added, on squats I usually keep it a little bit lighter, but still, on that I'm usually adding calves or overhead pullovers and stuff like that. So I don't know. All right, we got one more set. Then we'll start moving the variations. All right, I'm gonna psych myself up for this. I would like to hit a 6th set here, but I want to make sure the form's good. That's what matters more here. I'm going to give myself an extra minute. It'd be worth it.
got this. Strong like bull. Come on. Nice. That was 6. I'll take that. I'll take that. All right, so felt pretty good. We're gonna go down to 155 now for behind the neck. What's weird is I feel like my behind the neck press is stronger than it should be, but conventional shoulder press is weaker than it should be. But if I can 5 rep at 175 for 3 sets, I've got to imagine, like when I started this, my max was 200. I've got to imagine if I can 5 rep for 125, I can 1 rep for at least 200, probably a lot more. Just got to get more confident, heavier presses. I haven't normally done shoulder press like this. Typically when I do shoulder press, it's a dumbbell exercise with higher volume and lower weight. And I really should, I think, be doing a lot more of this. Hey, Cher, good to see you. Welcome on in. All right. So that was our first. That was 3 by 5, and I banged out. It felt, I don't know how the form looked on y'all's end. It felt like I was locking out at the top. It felt like I was not using my lower body at all. I felt really, really good about that. That last rep I really had to work for, and it felt good. So, to me, what that tells me is the strength is there. I just got to continue practicing the form, getting more used to shoulder pressing heavier weight. So I'm pretty happy with that. That's not bad. Next week, we'll be doing 4 by 5. So, you know, the goal is the weight should not be going down. So 4 by 5 at 175, that'll be a challenge. Same with 5 by 5 at 175. I'd really like to be hitting 180, 185, but we'll see. That'll be tough. I really want to put on shoulder strength today, so I may throw a lot of Arnold press on at the end. Really try to get as much blood as I can into the shoulders. I want to press 225. That's like a goal for me this year. I want to get that. Good morning. Hey, good to see you, SL. All right. What's weird is my skin feels kind of dry, and it shouldn't, because it is very humid in here. There is water running down the plexiglass panes on my garage door. I can see it. It's that humid in here. So that's kind of interesting. But my skin feels kind of dry. Oh well. So yeah, we got behind the neck and then wides. I'm going to switch it up. Normally I do wides and then behind the necks. I prefer behind the necks. I think it's a more value-added exercises than wide grip. And again, this is one where one of his workouts says wide grip press, one says wide grip bench. And there's a disconnect between what it says on Power Boost and what it says on his YouTube video. It doesn't make sense to me to do a wide grip bench press today because this is a shoulder day. This is a shoulder exercise, and a wide grip bench is very heavy chest dependent. So to me, I think he means a wide grip press. I'm having to interpret a little bit.
But for any of you who have done Alex Bromley's 70s powerlifter, please let me know what you did. I'm not entirely sure. The YouTube video and the Boost Camp programming contradict themselves there. And I wish I had an answer to that, but Bromley's really big, so I'm probably not going to ever find one, at least not from him. All right. This is 155. I should be able to hit this pretty easily for sets of 6 on behind the neck. If I can't, I'll go down weight. It's supposed to be RP 6 to 7. Should not be hard. All right. On one hand, you know, that definitely had another rep or two in me, but I do not think that was RP 6. It's probably closer to RP 7 to 8. Part of me wants to go down weight. The other part of me is going to say stick to 155 and roll with it and get used to it. Frankly, I don't feel the need to go all the way down to RP 6 for this long. Maybe it's a point of pride, but it just seems unnecessary. Because if I'm only doing, right, I'm only working this particular, right, it's 4 days a week. I'm only working shoulders one of those 4 days. So if I'm gonna hit shoulders only once a week, I better hit it fucking hard. I get the sense that no, I'm gonna stick with 155. I've decided that's what I'm gonna do. How'd that form look? Am I locking out? You know, are you seeing any movement in the top? Or any movement at the bottom? Oh, hello, we've got Butter Kayat. Thank you for the first time chat, welcome in. Do you think Big Ramy will win Mr. Olympia this year? And if not, who will be nominated? I have no idea, because I don't watch Mr. Olympia. Sorry. Welcome on in though. Good to have you. The other thing, I'll talk about it after I do this set. Come on, strong ball. So, I felt pretty good. What was I gonna say? Oh, the other thing Bromley suggests is to make your behind the neck presses push presses. I don't see the value in that. And it contradicts kind of what he's saying with the volumizing phase supposed to be, right, he talks about the volumizing phase, he talks about the variations. The variations, he says, you know, you want these to be longer range of motion variations that require you to use less weight than your primary lift. Well, what's a push press going to do? A push press involves slightly bending the knees and getting the weight up. And that's great, but a push press is going to allow you to do more weight, not less. And to me, you know, there's value in a push press, don't get me wrong. But to me, the reason you would do a push press is to prep for a really heavy lift. which is why I don't get why he's telling me to do it, especially behind the neck, where you're at a mechanical disadvantage anyway using the weight behind the head. But so that's why I kind of keep it a bit stricter on the behind the necks than he would recommend. But I see the value in a push press. I think you'd want to do that on your peaking cycle, or on the peaking section, rather than on the volumizing section. Be careful if you may get injured. Well, so that's the other part, right? I think doing a behind the neck push press is probably a more likely way to get hurt. Now, obviously, as long as you're doing it right, you're not ego lifting, you're not putting too much weight on there, you should be okay. But that's why I'm sticking to 155, and I'm not doing a push press. I think that's better. I'm better served that way. But that didn't feel bad. We'll do one more set of that, and then we'll move on to wide grip. I'm going to stick to wide grip shoulder press and assume the wide bench in the boost camp is a typo, just because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't line up with all the other workouts. Yeah, Kalen DeBoer, he's the new coach at Alabama, isn't he? That is something right there. He's got impossibly large shoes to fill. I feel bad for him. I mean, you have to be insane to want the Alabama job after Saban left. Because I think most Alabama fans are reasonable enough to acknowledge just how, even on their very high standards, how successful the Saban years were. And I don't think that most Alabama fans are going to immediately expect DeBoer to put up Saban-level numbers of success. Now, I would say DeBoer is in the best possible position a head coach could want since Kirby Smart took over at Georgia, or perhaps since Frank Solich took over at Nebraska back in the late 90s, right? He's got an absolute machine to work with. So if I were DeBoer, as great success as he had in Washington, I think it would be very wise to keep most of the processes used by Saban in place to the maximum extent possible. Because I think doing that is going to lend itself better to removing any frictions between coaching changes. The question is, what assistants, if any, will he bring in, or will he retain the existing assistants? For all of Alabama's issues that they had this year, I would say Alabama's defense played pretty well, especially towards the end of the year, and their offense got progressively better. And I think Milroe's a really good quarterback, frankly. Yeah, he had a rough game against Michigan, but Michigan's a really good football team. Michigan had a really good defense this year. I think if you're DeBoer, I would consider keeping the OC, because that way you don't have to reteach Jalen Milroe yet another offense. That's just my take on it. Hope he does better than Ray Perkins. I mean, I like Alabama, so they're not, they're not my favorite team, but I'll root for Alabama. Well, up until this year, now that the schedule changes kind of render this moot, but, the last 10 years or so, I would root for Alabama 11 games a year, because my mama went there. You don't root against your mama. If you need a new DC, the former DC's retiring, that's a loss. But Washington actually, to be honest, Washington did not have a very good defense, I don't think. They got into a shootout to beat Oregon in the Pac-12 championship. And they got absolutely thrashed by Michigan. And even against Texas, they allowed Texas to score quite often. I'm not sure Washington, DeBoer may not have a better option, but I'm not sure what worked in Seattle is going to work in Tuscaloosa. All right, last set. Oh man, just ripped a nasty fucking fart. Whew. God damn. All right, focus. feel like I could have probably gotten 2 more there to believe correlates to an RP 8. It's a little higher than what we want. It should have been an RP 6 to 7, but it didn't feel terrible either. So we got 3x6 on wide grip next. Now, with wide grip, last time we did 125. So I think 135 should do just fine here, at least to start. This is pretty easy, to be honest. I mean, it should be. This is the first wave, or the first week of the third wave. First week workouts. You know, you're doing 3 sets for your main workout, and then 2 to 3 sets of the variations. So, you know, it's supposed to be easy, or at least it's supposed to be easier. I'm certainly not having that much trouble yet. I'm not absolutely gasping for breath. The reason I'm breathing quite as heavy as I am, frankly, is because I'm talking more than I'm lifting, which is an indictment on me to admit. Yeah, thoughts on popular gym bros using their influence to pay off politicians? Is that a thing that's happening? I don't think it is. If that's a thing that's occurring, that is news to me. Give me just one moment, y'all. Caffeine having the desired effect here. Yeah, I don't, Neon Reagan, if you have examples of that occurring, I would love to hear them. That is news to me. But for wide grip, I like taking my watch off because I need a little bit more wrist mobility. Don't want to be banging into it. Thrill of It All by Black Sabbath. If you've been keeping up with the fitness community drama, you should know full well that I do not, because I prefer a low information diet when it comes to the bullshit 24-hour news cycle. Apparently a few 19-year-old influencers have been paying off politicians to enact legislation in their favor. Okay, which politicians, which influencers, and what legislation? Like, what are they lobbying for? This is completely news. Like, I have not heard of this at all, so you're gonna have to, I think you're gonna have to provide the details, because I have not heard of this at all. If you think right, so when it comes to news, I care about the economy and business a lot more than really, well, the economy, business, science, and technology a lot more than I care about what celebrities and influencers are doing. If you know a lot about me, I suppose that really shouldn't surprise you, but all right. So we'll do wide grip press, and we'll do lat raises, skull crushers, shoulder flies, Arnold presses, dumbbell extensions, JM presses. Oh yeah. It's like, okay, so this is a good example. Bromley 70s powerlifter says, you know, you should be doing tricep cable push downs. I don't have that here, so I'm gonna have to substitute with, you know, like triceps extensions this way, which is fine. It's the same concept, the same exercise. Skull crushers, and then lat raises. I'm adding, you know, an extra couple sets of extensions, JM presses, Arnold presses, all this other work, because it just feels too easy. Yeah, I'm not trying to be offensive or anything as far as not knowing. I just genuinely don't keep, you know me, I just don't keep up with this kind of stuff. Look, there are no influencers around me where I live. I think the only other one I've ever met who lives in my neck of the woods is crap, what's his? He's the dude with the dogs. I'm totally blanking on his name. This is embarrassing. But there's one other dude on Twitch. I'll often rate him. Totally forgetting his name at the moment. But he's also here in South Carolina. But even so, he's like 2-3 hours drive away. Nobody I'm aware of lives near me. Supernatural Writers across the river in Georgia, but she's deeper into the state, so she's not near me either. Lobbying for the state of Maryland. Okay, the state of Maryland's basically a communist government at this point, so that doesn't shock me. Implement apples and bananas in their vending machines. That's a terrible idea because one bad apple in there is going to spoil all the other produce. You can't put apples in vending machines. If you put them in vending machines, right, they're going to go bad, and when they go bad, they're going to just absolutely crap out the machine. I like the idea in theory, but in practice, that's not going to work. Make expensive the manufactured junk food, organic vegetables. Just subsidize vegetables. Don't subsidize organic vegetables. Vegetables of any kind need to stay cheap. So, but don't make a qualifier that it's got to be organic. That's dumb. Well, making the American cup sizes illegal. Don't make them. Making shit illegal doesn't make it go away. Just tax it for God's sake. Do the same thing that you do with tobacco. Start treating soda the way you treat tobacco, and that's how you're gonna fix the problem. It's the same way you should treat alcohol or any other drug, because what soda is effectively is liquid cigarettes for your body. Bills Mafia is gonna arm shovel snow out of Highmark Stadium. If not, the game will move to Cleveland. No, come on. The whole point of keeping an NFL team in Buffalo is to have those weather games. That's the fun part. Plus, they're playing Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh doesn't have an offense anyway, so it doesn't matter. Changing portion standards and limiting caffeine requirements. I think they're going about it all wrong. Banning shit. Too many people want to say, ban this, ban that, ban this, ban that. It's so authoritarian. That's not the right way to do shit. Because when you ban something, this is just American DNA right here. If you ban something, Americans are going to want to do whatever that fucking thing is so much more. Be it making moonshine, driving more than 55 miles an hour, or smoking weed. Doesn't matter. In this instance, drinking a 44-ounce cup of soda, right? It's the principle. Because this country was based on the principle of fuck you, I'm going to do what I want. That's what liberty is. So instead of banning it, you got to tax it. That's what we've done. You got to use taxes and social stigma. How did American smoking rates fall dramatically from, say, 1960 all the way to today? Well, we started taxing cigarettes. Obviously, education's a big part of it, but the biggest part of it is that we made cigarettes a lot more expensive and we stopped allowing advertising for it. Now I'm a lot more, if you're gonna ban something, ban advertising, especially to children, of sugary crap. Don't just ban it outright. That's stupid, and it's not going to work, and it's going to create a revolt. Now, when the forecast calls for up to 3 feet of snow, that's perfect. Dude, okay, think about the Ice Bowl, right, in Green Bay. Think about all those fantastic weather games that we've had over the years. You better believe that game needs to be played in Buffalo. I want to see that shit. That's what football's about, baby. I want to see a 1975 style slug 'em out, absolute beat 'em up kind of football game. Look, these are two Rust Belt teams, Pittsburgh and Buffalo, going at it, right? Pittsburgh has no offense whatsoever, and look, Josh Allen is basically a glorified running back with a really good arm. Fuck it, let's see what happens. But what you're doing there is you're creating the perfect conditions for a rugby match, and I'm fucking about it. No, hold that game in Buffalo. Do not bitch out of this, NFL. You know what? Why do I care? I don't watch the NFL anyway. The NFL is committed to having shitty products anyway, so fuck it. I guess I'll just throw it in Cleveland, which is a solution nobody wants. All right, here we go. Wide grip. That wasn't too bad. I think I'll stick with 135. That was definitely more like an RP6. Three feet of snow? Perfect. Play the fucking game. These are men, okay? These are men getting paid millions of dollars to play a child's game. They can do it in the snow. UK does say there's one voluntary law. No tax to all hell. Exactly. See, that's what I like. You can, right? Because what, okay. So, especially in a country, in the UK is a country with nationalized healthcare, effectively, with the NHS. What that means is it is society's and the taxpayers' burden to cover people's healthcare. As such, society has the right and the interest to help ensure people are making healthier decisions. So, it makes sense then that the UK has a sugar tax because excessive sugar consumption is linked to a host of maladies that shorten people's lives and increase healthcare costs, right? God only knows it makes people's teeth worse, and the British don't need that stereotype pushed in any further, right? Where I'm going with this is this is what I've always said about universal healthcare. As someone who would probably get soaked with higher taxes if we went for universal healthcare, I'm only in favor of it if we start forcing people who make bad healthcare decisions to pay more into the system, right? We have a semi-nationalized healthcare system in the US. We have it for the military, we have it for old people, and we have it for poor people in the form of Medicare and Medicaid. What we don't have is, and then we have the public option under the Obamacare Act. And so it's kind of, we're in this weird limbo between a private and a public system with kind of the worst of both worlds, if we're honest. But again, I'm open to the idea of universal health care, but you've got to make the fatties pay up too. The fatties, the cigarette smokers, and the drunks have to be paying into the system. Don't fucking charge me to subsidize people's poor decisions. Fins for the Chiefs and KC. I can't wait to see it. Miami's gonna get slaughtered. Poor Tua, man. Tua's like genetically not built for the cold. Dude's Polynesian, went to Alabama, and is playing in Miami now. Like, you couldn't find a worse combination for cold weather play. All right, second set, let's go. That still felt pretty good. I'm gonna go for 140. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Nice. -4 degrees, I love it. There should be. There we go. By the way, I'm a huge fan of that little thing I made there. It's a political compass of people on my channel, and I feel like the reason I'm bringing this up is we had a farm Nazi come in yesterday. That was fun. But the old people in my bets are considering paying. I have to spend a bit more, so it's a tiny bit more. So my problem with it is, again, I really, really bristle at subsidizing people's bad decisions. And I know, yeah, you say, well, you're already doing that. If you go for fully nationalized healthcare without addressing the fact that Americans are far less healthy than most other developed nations, all you're going to do is be soaking the rich and the healthy to subsidize the poor and the unhealthy. And while I'm okay with subsidizing the poor, I'm not okay with people making worse decisions. So again, it's the same thing, right? I'm a huge fan of taxes on bad things. Taxes on things that have what economists would call negative externalities. In other words, gasoline. You should tax gasoline really high because increased consumption of gasoline causes climate change, causes worse, all sorts of pollutants in terms of chemicals and compounds that go into the atmosphere and cause greater amounts of emphysema, asthma, lung cancer, all that really nasty shit. Burning fossil fuels is something we should be doing less of. What's the most economically efficient way to ensure you burn less of them? Tax it. Really simple.
Tax stuff you want more, or tax stuff you want less of, subsidize stuff you want more of. Don't overcomplicate it with any of these fancy schemes, because all that is a way for government corruption to get into the process. Like, cap and trade is dumb. Carbon credits are dumb. Just have a carbon tax. Way simpler. Tomorrow in Buffalo, 20 degrees with snows. Perfect. I want that. I would laugh so hard if Tampa bitch slaps the Eagles. Of course, that is going to make a certain roommate of mine very unhappy, but she is nervous as hell, and rightfully so, because Philadelphia's been playing like... Honestly, you know what's funny? This year, Philadelphia looks like the way Dallas normally does. December has come along, and they just fell off. Normally, Dallas gets to December and falls off. This year, Philly's doing it. So yeah, I would peg Philly as having the highest likelihood for being upset. Simultaneously do it doesn't have to be step 1 and step 2. No, I'm only voting for it if junk food taxes are attached. Simple as. Do not ask me to pay more in income taxes to subsidize people's bad healthcare choices. Simple as. And here's why I'm very, very unwilling to compromise on this issue. Every single universal healthcare plan that we see from the political left in this country fails to address the fact that Americans are extremely unhealthy. And I'm really looking at a certain old dude from Vermont who says, oh yeah, we can have universal healthcare, it's called Medicare for all in this country, without addressing some of the root causes of America's high healthcare expenses, one of which is that Americans are fucking unhealthy. Simultaneously making the bill, okay, create one piece of legislation, expands Medicare to everyone, while simultaneously making the bill only valid for a sugar tax. You do that, I'm right there with you. Count me in. Fingers crossed the Phillies regress this year, hell yeah. I'm just hoping the Nationals continue to make strides. I'm not expecting much from the Nationals this year. I would like them to get to 500. If the Nationals can be a 500 ball club this year, I'm gonna call that improvement and be happy. Yeah, it was gonna be a huge rebuild after 2019. But 2019 is still recent enough for me to be okay with where the Nationals are. Hey, Barrett, good to see you. All right. We got one more set. Let's do it. Yeah, sorry, I misread. I only read the first half of your comment, Neum. I should have read the second. My bad. All right, come on, last set. All right, that was probably a little bit higher RPE than I should have done there. I'd say it was probably more RPE 7.5 to 8, but still felt pretty good. So we're through our main shoulder workouts today. So we're gonna do skull crushers and JMs next, along with lat raises. So I think we'll go to 125. Would be a place to start. So we're doing 40, yeah, we'll go with 40-pound dumbbells for this, for lat raises. We'll start with them fully bent over, and then we'll go 45 degrees, and then we'll go vertical. Let's see, that gives us, what are we at? Shoulder press, shoulder press, shoulder press. There it is. So we did skull crushers for sets of 12 at 105. Sets of 10 at 125 will be tough, but I think it'll be doable, especially given that we haven't put in quite the same level of work we normally do. So I'm going to go ahead and set up for that. So I looked at the tape yesterday, by the way. I was pretty pleased with the way my squats looked. I was pretty happy with that in general. All right, so we're gonna start with bent over lat raises, and then we're gonna go
We'll go with skull. Do I want to do J-hand press instead first? No, I'm gonna start with skull crushers. I want to see if I can skull crush 125. That would be, I think it's gonna be really hard. I doubt I'm gonna get 10, but I want to try it. Not bad. A little bit further under. There we go. Let's go. Can you watch this feet? Okay, you can. Cool. Getting the camera angle on some of these exercises right can get kind of wonky. That's too heavy. I need to go back down. Come on. Come on, 2 more. Yeah, I don't. That's probably not worth sticking it. 125 for. I think I'm gonna go with 115 instead. So it's gonna be 25 and 15. I feel like if I was doing that for sets of 8, I'd be a little bit more comfortable with it, but I don't feel like I was putting a little bit too much strain on my elbows. And this is, that's a bodybuilding workout. It's a bodybuilding exercise. I don't think I'm supposed to be quite straining that hard to hit 10. You little Dire Straits, a little money for nothing. Hey, Wicked Odins, how you doing, bro? Dude, yesterday that event with Amelia, that shit was freaking awesome. That was a lot of fun. We did trivia and hide and go seek and all sorts of stuff. Half of the team is under team control and is not under arbitration eligible yet. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm surprised. I figured the Reds were going to be in for a tougher offseason. India? Yeah, that'd be it. I missed it. Just worked 71 hours since last Monday, bro. That's a lot, man. Credit where it's due. That's pretty impressive. All right, so we're gonna hit lat raises. You did bent over, so 45 degrees this time. So, okay, for those of you who are wondering, a lot of people say lateral raises, right? They're just this, right? And I do those, but I also like them this way too. It feels like I'm working different muscles, and to me, it's a feel thing. I also notice
if I do them like this or like this, I feel it in different places as well, which is why when I do 3 sets of 10, I'm gonna do one at 90 degrees, one at roughly 45 degrees, and then one roughly straight up. I just feel a difference, and it definitely feels like I'm hitting a wider variety, which is, I think that's a good thing. Especially if I'm doing these for a lot of the volume on more bodybuilding related stuff. Anyway. First wind, no wind and snow, then bitter cold tomorrow. That sucks. I think it's gonna be like 65 here today. Gotta love the deep south. Of course, I go outside and I still get bit up by mosquitoes even though it's the middle of January. So, pros and cons. All right, here we go. There we go, about 45 degrees. Come on, 2 more. Not bad. Move on to skull crushers. Can you do clean pulls? Do you mean like a hang clean, or like a power clean? When you say clean pulls, I'm not sure what you're asking. Money for nothing and chicks for free. Skull crushers. Okay, cool, I got the clips on. Come on, even it out. Better, there we go. Come on, 3 more. If you get a second, can you send it to me on Discord? So one of the limitations of running OBS on this laptop is that if I pull up anything else, I start dropping frames really bad. If you send it to me on Discord, I can see it on my phone. Thank you. In the meantime, I'm gonna do my next set here. And for this one, I need to up the camera angle. There we go. Nice. Hey, love Will. What was it, bitch? Story yesterday. Yeah, I know the Midwest has had some really strange temps this year. It was abnormally warm for a long while, and then now it's nice and cold. Or, well, maybe not so nice, but very cold. Caffeine and water. You're going to do it to you every time. All right, so what else we got after this? We got dumbbell extensions. I'm going to try those at 30 to see how those go for 10.
hit this. No, actually, I'm gonna go for, I'll try with 20s first and see if that feels good. I'll go for 30s. Dumbbell extensions, the key is going nice and slow, working the eccentric. Yeah, I know the weather in the Midwest is crazy. I creatine monohydrate all the time, even when I'm cutting. I just like a steady 5 grams a day. Just the basic, I get off a fucking Amazon. You don't have to go crazy to find a decent thing there. All right, let's go. Last set on skull crushers. But yeah, definitely I recommend creatine. Basically, if you lift at all, I recommend doing creatine. If you lift fairly frequently, go more along the 5 grams a day type thing. I don't do creatine loading. You can. For me, it's just, if I happen to forget a day where I don't have creatine, I'll just have a little bit more the next day. Don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Keep it simple. Come on. So, next, I want jam press next. I'm going to do jam press. I'm going to want the hooks. So we're going to want to put that there. Put that there. Put that there. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, there we go. What did we jam press last time? We did. When was the last time we did do a jam? Hang on, this may be a minute. I gotta find it. We did it last time. Ooh, I haven't done traps today. I should do traps. I might throw some traps in there. Instead of jams, do dumbbell extensions. Because I did. Yeah, I'm cool with that. Actually, yeah, I'm gonna throw some traps in there instead of jams. I'm cool with that. But if we're gonna do traps, we'll go back up to 125. Yeah, this and dumbbell extension. But like dumbbell extensions and skull crushers is enough. Probably don't need to do that and a jam. That's probably a bit too much. So, go at it that way. Very much. Here we go. One. So, let's see, probably want to be down here, so start there, then have it low, then high. Yes, yes. Yeah. 1 gram a day of creatine is a non-lifter. I mean, I recommend lifting if I were you. Creatine's good for you for a variety of non-weightlifting reasons, but I mean, I'm a huge fan of lifting. It's honestly, this set of barbells is a way to stay in shape, but it's so much more than that. It's a money printing machine because it means I have lower healthcare expenses. It's a confidence booster. It's a psychotherapist. So much you can get from a decent pair of barbells.
Okay.
Let's do Rats in the Cellar by Aerosmith. That's a little deep cut from my favorite Aerosmith album of all time, Rocks. That was back when Aerosmith was doing shit tons of drugs.
They knew what the fuck they were doing. Let's go. Yeah, we'll go.
We'll start with 20s. If 20s are easy, we'll go 25s or 30s. Then you get back to it, into it. Yeah, for sure, bro. Well, I mean, if you said you used to do powerlifting or Olympic style lifting, it'll come back a lot easier than it will for most people. So I would definitely, I would encourage you to do so. I would certainly encourage you to do so for sure.
All right.
Let's do this.
All right.
It's not bad.
Oh, I feel like my triceps. It's a little bit slower than I normally do them. I think I'm gonna stick with lighter weight. Just doing nice and slow like that.
That felt pretty good. All right, so we'll do vertical. Some people call these upright rows. I just call them vertical flies, whatever. But we're gonna. Fucking Super Bowl in our business, that's all hands on deck. Haven't been in the office today of all days. That sucks for sure. No, I don't, nuclear industry don't take you in on weekends most times. If you have to come in off hours and you're working nuclear, something bad has happened. Well, okay, either something bad has happened or you're simulating that something bad has happened, like a drill. Those drills are annoying as fuck. See, it is, all right, that's not bad. About 53 degrees in here, which is about as good as I can expect it to be. Actually, I like it when it's in the 50s in here. It's better than if it's hotter. I've lifted in here when it's 93 degrees, and that's a lot less fun. Biggest gains from clean pulls and front squats, crazy bulks. So I was doing front squats yesterday at 225. That felt pretty solid. For me, the one thing a lot of people will criticize me for on front squats, and perhaps rightfully so, is that I go with the cross grip because this hurts the shit out of my wrists and elbows to keep the weight suspended like that for that long. And the whole point of a front squat is to work your quads, not your wrists and elbows. So, I'd rather just rest it on my shoulders and deal with it like that. In general, I feel like I'm more stable that way too. Yesterday I was hitting 350 on, normal back squats for 6, which is good, honestly. All right, let's hit another set. That's not bad. Tearing me apart. Thank you very much, Wicked Odins, for the 100 bits. Much obliged, man. Thank you. All right, that felt pretty good for a set of 10. I think I'm gonna stick with that. Advertising this is our busy season. Holidays and Super Bowl, Valentine's Day, we got a break till Mother's Day. New making partners, I didn't have to be bothered. Didn't realize I was junior partner gets so much shit. Telling you, love Will. I don't know if you've spent any more time on my Discord on that financial channel. The position of fuck you is sitting right here waiting for you to learn how to get there. Brother, I promise you it's worth it. I'm telling you. Achieve the position of fuck you. It's so nice. My boss tells me to come in like that, and there ain't a good reason, I'm gonna tell him, no, find someone else. I can't be fucked with. Look, okay, let me explain something, y'all. So, in the nuclear industry, the bane of our existence is the regulatory agencies. They are our customer and also extremely whiny and demanding. They ask the dumbest questions and ask us to evaluate scenarios for accidents that are unrealistic. At one point, I joked with my colleagues that really we should just start looking at the Book of Revelations and deciding how we can prepare against that. So at one point, I come into those meetings and I'm the big dude, right? I've got the mohawk and the muscles, and even under, workplace attire, I kind of have that intimidating vibe. But you need to have that with the regulators. I'll go in there and I will give very short, to the point, and direct answers. And if I say that's not realistic, they're asking me, why don't we have a maintainability requirement? Well, because maintainability is subjective. You guys told us you only wanted quantifiable measurements. How do you quantify maintainability? You don't. I told him that would be, I told him you're contradicting yourself. And at the end of the meeting, one of them came up to me and said, why are you angry all the time, man? I'm like, I'm not angry. I just have a low bullshit tolerance threshold. And I walked away. Even my manager was like, holy shit, that was a ballsy thing to say. And I'm like, what are they gonna fucking do to me? I don't think my manager is fully aware of just how good I've set myself up financially. But I think based on the fact that I take no bullshit from anyone, my manager and I are really cool. I like my direct boss quite a lot, actually. If I end up moving jobs, I'm gonna miss him a lot. But it works really well because even my manager's like, it's kind of refreshing to have someone have the nuts to go up to the regulators and call them out on asking stupid fucking questions. Oh, 100% people work better when they're less stressed out about work. That's the thing. That's why you should look to achieve the position of fuck you, which I more or less have. Yeah, it says 473 days left, but realistically, that's really only to get to the point where I would never need to work another day in my life where I could live off the investments. I'm close. I'm not quite there, but I'm very close. So, all I would have to do is pull in, I don't know, $10,000, $15,000 a year doing some odd job part-time, and I'd be just fine. Or I could, just start giving a damn about monetizing this channel, which right now I couldn't be bothered to. I'd rather keep it ad-free, or, I can't make it ad-free, but I'd rather minimize the amount of ads y'all have to fucking sit through, which is why it's 30 seconds an hour. That's the Twitch minimum. Where's the weight at now? I look bigger. Weighed in, actually this morning I weighed in a bit low. I think it was a loss in water weight. It said 221.8. Yesterday it was 225 flat. So I'm not sure what's going on there. I think what it means is I need to hydrate. So I'm going to just continue on that front. But the point here is really simple. Once you lower your expenses, all of a sudden, right, I'll put it this way. For every $1,000 a year, so that's $83 a month, for every $1,000 a year you slash from your annual expenses, you need $25,000 to $30,000 less invested total in the market and saved total in the market to be financially independent, okay? So if you can slash $10,000 a year from your budget, you just lowered the requirements on what you need to be financially independent and achieving that position of fuck you by $250,000 to $300,000. I don't care who you are, that's a lot of money. So look really, really hard at your expenses.
And if you can find ways to live on less, learn how. Insource your skills. Don't buy a fucking stupid car, and better still, if you can use public transit to commute, all the better. I believe your particular job does have a need for regulation. They'd be totally okay, right? So the NFL league office, holy shit, on my phone every 5, good lord. So yes, okay, the nuclear industry does need regulation, but I can promise you the United States takes it entirely too far. My proof of this is there is a nuclear reactor design called the Westinghouse AP1000. The recent plant that opened across the river in Georgia, Plant Vogtle, right? That's the first AP1000 reactor to be deployed in the United States. The original design was completed between 2008 and 2010. In 2011, the Tohoku earthquake hit Japan and caused the Fukushima issue. Full-on disclosure here. The reason Fukushima melted down is because TEPCO ignored the regulator's advice to move the backup diesel generators away from under the seawall. Diesel generators got flooded, and because, out of an abundance of caution, ironically enough, they shut down the power plants, the fuel rods didn't have coolant continuing to cool the fuel rods off in the reactor vessel, and it melted. Right? That's what caused the Fukushima disaster. By the way, the amount of deaths from radiation due to the Fukushima disaster, I believe, was 2, versus thousands killed in the earthquake, and then thousands more having their lives shortened by artificially forcing them out of their homes in Fukushima when there was no real danger. So just a little perspective there. But the regulators here in the United States freaked the fuck out and decided, okay, we've got to make new seismic demands on every nuclear design, including the AP1000, which is particularly stupid given that Georgia is not on a fault line. You're not going to get a magnitude 9 earthquake and a subsequent tsunami at Plant Vogtle because Plant Vogtle is 100 miles inland of an ocean that is not on a fault line. Anyway, where I'm going with this is that the regulatory questions. I'll put it this way: if any other industry was regulated the way the U.S. nuclear industry is regulated, that industry would cease to exist, and every single manufacturer in that industry would go bankrupt. That's how bad it is. As a man who works at the power utility, I love nuke plants. Hell yeah. Well, I mean, if you're up in Lovewell City was in Illinois. I don't know where you're at, Wicked Odins, but if you're up in, it really depends on what state you're in. Here in South Carolina, I believe, short of Illinois, actually, we're the number 2 most nuclear power plant as a percentage of our total state's energy portfolio. Oh, you're in New York? Bless your heart. That's cost of living up there is high as hell. Well, I guess not so much if you're in Western New York, but if you're anywhere near the big city, I'm so sorry. So how do you calculate how much you need to be truly financially independent? It sounds like you'll be cutting corners at every opportunity once you retire, thinking twice or thrice about what you spend your money on and how much. It sounds semi-stressful. That's a great question. I'm going to go ahead and hit a couple more sets because I'm stalling a bit, and I'll answer that. Well, I'll tell you, you guys, okay, you up there in New York, y'all are welcome down here on our beaches for 51 weeks a year. On Masters Week, y'all can fuck off. On Masters Week, we give you the city of Augusta. Leave us the hell alone. That's the time for us natives to go to the beach. The other 51 years a week, you're welcome to the Carolina beaches as much as you want. And generally, it's the Ohioans that do it the most, but y'all New Yorkers too. Oh, one other thing. When you're on the beach, slow the fuck down. Look, I get it. New York, you gotta be busy, high speed all the time, but chill. You're at the beach. Don't have to go fucking 50 on Ocean Boulevard in Myrtle. Don't need to be doing that shit. Hey, Thundergun, thank you very much for the subscription. I appreciate that immensely. Let me go ahead and do another set, and we'll talk about how much you need, because that's the wrong way of looking at it. No offense, POSC. The answer is not how much, the answer is how little. And I actually have a mathematical equation I can use to explain it.
Do you look more discord financial? Probably gonna be pissed off because I want to spend on your car. I mean, I'm not gonna be pissed off, but you should be pissed off at yourself. Look, man, if you want to work in this high-stress job of yours until you're fucking 70, keep spending the way you are. I'm a huge fan of tough love, but it's tough love, right? I ain't trying to make you feel bad about yourself, but I am trying to make you take a real hard look at the decisions you're making and asking yourself, is it worth it? Remember, my used economy shitbox does everything your car can, and it costs me $40 a month to insure and $75 a year to fill up. Ask yourself if it's really fucking worth it. It's a lot of money. All right, so curiosity, let me answer that question for you. 125. How much do I need to retire? For this, I need a little bit. Lifting, giving financial advice, love the combo. That's the move, bro. Look, I've just found that I'm really fucking successful. I'm really not trying to be arrogant, but like, look, I'm 28 and I'll be able to retire before I'm 30. Yeah, $40 a month to insure my car. That's right. It was an upgrade from my NSX. Jesus Christ. Yeah, $40. That's it. Seems kind of risky. What if you miscalculated something unexpected happened? Did you consult a financial consultant? You don't need one, and here's why. Okay, so we're going to talk about safe withdrawal rate, okay? What is a safe withdrawal rate? It is the maximum amount of a percentage of your portfolio that you can withdraw every year without draining your finances, okay? On average, if you invest in the S&P 500, you're going to get about 7% a year on average after inflation. So inflation is accounted for here. So you might think that, okay, well, the safe withdrawal rate, therefore, must be about 7% if I invest in the S&P 500. Wrong. The correct answer is roughly 3 to 4%. Now, why is it 3 to 4 instead of 7? The answer is something called sequence of returns risk. Basically, there have been studies that have been done by major financial planners that have showed 30, 40, 50, and onwards retirement Monte Carlo simulations. And those simulations, right, what we can't do is predict the future of the market, but what we can do is take all the performance in 30 and 40 and 50 and whatever your intervals you fancy from about 1873 onwards to the present. Now, while it is possible for the market to go through a bigger crash than it did in 1929 to 1931, I doubt it will happen. And frankly, if we have a second Great Depression, well, being good at not spending money is going to give you far more advantages over the people that were spending and living high on the hog and now got their nuts clapped by the market as well. So I highly recommend becoming a Renaissance man to kind of insure yourself against that possibility. But look, if a second Great Depression comes, okay, yeah, you're fucked, but you're still fucked a whole lot less than everybody else, right? And now that I have that, Jesus Christ, you bought a Bentley. My guy, have you calculated what the depreciation on that's going to be? I mean, it's a hell of a flex to have one, so respect, but at the same time, oh boy. Trevor Fetalk, thank you very much for the follow. Welcome to the bullpen. Good to have you. Okay, so 3 to 4%. What does this mean? That means how much do you need to retire? How much? And I'm going to say to be financially independent, because just because you've achieved financial independence doesn't mean you have to retire. In fact, I probably will not retire when I hit the financial independence mark because I've got a really interesting job opportunity coming up in either Washington or Hawaii. And while I may not save as much as I have here, I'm still going to put up north of a 50% savings rate. And as a result, I'm going to cross this number very quickly. But what you got to do is 3 to 4% of what is the question, right? It's of your portfolio. So it's going to be dependent on if you take your expenses, and if you do not know what your annual expenses are, fix that. Figure out what you're spending month after month, year after year. Have a budget, okay? Look, just because our government can't figure out how to do that doesn't mean you can get off the hook. Am I a qualified financial consultant or accountant? Nope, even better, I'm an engineer. I know how to build safety margins into shit. I promise you, there's quite a lot of safety margins here, all right? So, if you've got a 3 to 4% safe withdrawal rate, that means you need to take your annual expenses and multiply them by 25 to 33 times to get the amount of money you need to be financially independent. So, how does this work? Let's say you are pretty wasteful, like the average American, and you need $50,000 a year to live on. I think $50,000 a year is extremely excessive, but that's just me. $50,000 a year means you are going to require, let's see, let me do the math on this real quick. To divide by 30. I think I've done that right. 1.25 to 1.65 million to retire on 50 if you want to keep spending $50,000 a year, right? Okay. Around 10 grand on blowing hookers. Okay, so you're shit posting and that's really funny, but like as an engineer, lawyers are the bane of my existence. So if you're a lawyer, you can fuck right off. I deal enough with that bullshit in my job. I don't want to deal with it on my Twitch stream. Obviously, okay, I'm not certified. This is not certifiable financial advice. I'm just telling you what I do. And if you think it's worth doing, consider doing it. That's up to you. But I guarantee you, if you go and pay thousands of dollars for financial advice, you're going to get the exact same fucking thing I'm telling you. The difference is I'll tell it to you for free because I think it's fun. You're not, right, that's the thing. I'm not defrauding anyone because I'm not getting any money from this. That feeling when I drive her home, priceless, and then when I saw the copy of the check I wrote for the down payment in my bank app that I made a mistake. It's like buying a boat. The happiest days of a boat owner's life is the day he buys it and the day he sells it. Anyway, so if you're on an extremely wasteful $50,000 per year, you could look at 1.2 to 1.65 million as what you need to be financially independent. So if you need $100,000 a year, you can double that. So 2.5 to 3.3 million to retire. That's a lot of money. Good luck saving all of that because the more you're going to save, the more you're going to have to make. And the more you make, the higher you're going to get taxed on it. So what's much more effective is, let's say we go in the opposite direction and we can spend a much more rational and much more efficient $20,000 a year. Now, if you spend only $20,000 a year, guess what? This is the fun part. You only need $500,000 to $660,000 a year to be financially independent. And that's a whole lot easier than 7 figures. That's the nice thing. And for those of you who are wondering, but BullMuscle, you can't possibly expect people to live on $20,000 a year. And this is where I say bullshit because I live on 17. 10,000 just on regulations and insurance for my cars? Dude, that's insane. For insuring my car, I pay about $450 a year. All right, I got another set to do, but we'll keep talking about this because clearly some of y'all lack financial discipline, to use a South Park term.
pay off my student loan this year. Good for you, man. That's actually really impressive. Good for you, Jay Guy. High key respect for that. Paying off debt is a form of savings. If you pay off debt and you're paying off principal, that is savings. Now, interest should be considered an expense. That's how I break that down. All right, last set on traps. There we go. All right. So I gotta finish the workout before we talk too much more about money, but I'm loving this. All right. So we're done dumbbell extensions, vertical flies. We've got Arnold presses and shoulder flies next. I like it. So we come in, we'll do seated Arnolds. Let's start with 50s and go from there. Look, 95% principal at this point. Good for you, man. Jay Guy, that's extremely impressive. Pat yourself on the back. Student loans used to be interest-free, which is nice. That is nice, but that's artificially. So what you're basically doing is getting a subsidy at that point. Because nobody is going to lend interest out at 0%. Nobody's going to lend money out at 0% unless there's a good incentive to do so, right? If you are loaning money at 0%, what you're effectively saying is you believe in order to make money, you believe the currency will be worth more in the future than it's worth now. In other words, you expect deflation to happen. Now, any idiot can look at the US government's budget, or really any developed nation's budget, and see the deficits and say, okay, that's not realistic. So, really, with the exception of Japan, deflation hasn't really been a thing anywhere, so, in recent years, so, you know, I question the wisdom of a 0% loan. If you're the lender, why would you do that? You have to think about these things in terms of rational actors and what's mutually beneficial. If nothing's mutually beneficial, there will be no deal. All right. And of course, now all this is said, there's about 52 in here, that's not bad. Household 2, so I'm happy no longer have to pay utility bills. Congratulations. Now, I may end up having to sell this place if I end up moving west. That'll be fun though. There's the other challenge. I bet you I'll find a way to live cheaper in Oahu or in Bremerton, Washington than most people live in the middle of nowhere. These are where people study, don't have anyone studying due to the price. Well, there's pros and cons to it. I'm a huge fan of tech schools and trade schools because the cost of getting a degree at one of those places, like an associate's degree, is far lower than if you get a four-year university, especially from a private one here in the US. The truth is, once you get your first job, after that point, your degree matters so much less. And nowadays, employers are waking up to the fact that a four-year degree, especially if it's in something like liberal arts, is basically worthless. If you're gonna get a degree, you better get it in something that actually has a good ROI. So before going to college, do a return on investment calculation on what you're spending your money on. For instance, right, I have a mechanical engineering degree. Why did I pick mechanical engineering instead of nuclear, instead of economics, which is probably my favorite field of study? The answer is because mechanical engineering had a low rate of unemployment and a high likelihood of getting a good rate on return, or return on investment. Hey, thanks to the Lark J guy, and congratulations on paying off your loans. That's seriously commendable, and I have a lot of respect for people who are doing that, okay? Nobody owes you anything, and if you take out loans, you should expect to pay them off. All right, here we go. Arnold press. 2, 3, 4,
one down, two to go. Who's oftentimes less fortunate or can't really pick and choose to save money, and there are already credit corners to be on. Serious saving money is an option. You vastly underestimate how low an impact you can make with people with very humble income. Okay. POC, you have a point, but, okay, even in my very rural, very poor part of the United States, if I can live off of $17,000 a year quite happily, what is preventing the average person who makes $30,000 to $40,000 around here doing so? The answer is not much. Look, the answer is we as a country and we as a society consume too fucking much. And the only leader the United States has ever had that actually told the American public, quit complaining, bundle up in the winter, stop using so much fucking fuel to, you know, power your lives and consume a little bit less, got voted out of office so fast in 1980 that everybody's head spun. There's often a few opportunities with a good paying job, a combination of low cost area of living. Every person is capable of that. That's the thing. Okay, unemployment rates here in South Carolina are at record lows. And even in the most expensive parts of the state, Greenville and Charleston, cost of living is still very reasonable. That's the thing. We can't, in this state, we can't get enough workers to do the jobs that are open. There are hundreds of thousands of jobs open that nobody fucking wants. Like, that's the thing. Right, a lot of people just look at the rural deep south and they turn their nose up at it, but then they complain about not being able to afford living in places like California. Well, you know, have you ever considered moving? I mean, for God's sake, to take this job, I left an actually less rural place. Like, think about that, right? No, we're not pretending everybody has the same life and the same opportunities, but we can't sit here and pretend that right now unemployment rates in this country are the lowest they've been since the late 60s. Okay? If you want a job right now, you kind of have to be really, really picky to not be able to find one. I see help wanted signs all over the place in this area. Yeah, is rural South Carolina the most glamorous place to live? No, but can you get a good life here? Yes, and I'm proof of that, right? Did I buy an expensive house that the average American can't afford? Nope. In fact, I bought one that was substantially cheaper than average. About half the price, actually. Why can't the average person do that? And I know the answer. It's because rural America is scorned upon by the average American. And it's part of why there's so much resentment in the rural parts of the country, because we feel like we've been left behind. That's why Donald Trump was so popular here, because we were so sick of the establishment spitting on the rural America. Now, I didn't vote for Donald Trump, by the way. No, okay, let me be very clear about something, okay? I do believe in equality of opportunity, and we've got some fucking work to do there, because right now you can see quality of education varies dramatically in the United States. It's very highly and tightly correlated to income. That needs to be fixed, because I think every child is entitled to good education. That being said, equality of opportunity does not equal equality of outcome, and I feel very strongly about that. I think we need to work harder at getting equality of opportunity, but let me tell you something, right? POC, let me explain something. Right here, out at my job, if you're a United States citizen, which the vast majority of the country is, and you don't use drugs on a regular basis, which if you're using drugs on a regular basis and you're having trouble making ends meet, that would be the first place to start looking and maybe considering your own life's choices. But out here, you can be, hey, 773AJ, thank you very much for the follow. Now, if you get out here, right, you can find housing for very, very little money. We're talking rent for well under $700 a month, right? Out here, you get one of these jobs as a construction laborer out at my site, or a welder, or a pipe fitter, and by the way, if you say, oh, but you need certifications for that, yes, you do. And the state of South Carolina will pay you to get them in the form of an apprenticeship. That's how badly we need people out here, right? I'm telling you, seriously, the people who are welders out here make double what I do. And I'm a nuclear engineer. Like, I don't make bad money. I will agree. There is a certain amount of privilege that I have in the sense that, yeah, I have good income,
But a lot of that comes from me having made good choices and worked really hard to get my degree and worked really hard to put myself in a good position. I'm a huge fan of giving people a hand up, but not a hand out. Move through the shit and move myself to a comfortable position. My point here too is you have people immigrate from the worst of poverty to come to this country, and they work really hard and start new lives here. There's a reason I'm fairly pro-immigrant, but anyway, right? There is, okay, I think POC and UTAF, I think y'all are perhaps talking a bit beyond each other here. Remember to please stay civil. Victim mentality is 100% a real thing, and it needs to be squashed in this country. That being said, there are 100% different instances and circumstances that can change one's opportunities. I believe in equality of opportunity, but you get what I'm saying? But I will say, victim mentality is 100% a problem in this country. It does need to get addressed. I think the truth is somewhere between what you two. I think you two are both correct, and there is value to what you two both are saying. Anyway, let me do another set here. Where else are you going to get philosophy, financial advice, and lifting weights all on one channel, huh? Right, I see it every day. Every single day, I see countless trucks and SUVs carrying one person getting 15 miles to the gallon, plowing through my town to get to the work site. Because the people who drive them insist on living in a nice town with things to do and good schools. Even though you can get all of those things here in my little small town if you know what the fuck you're doing and know where to look. Hey, POC, I don't think that's uncalled for. I don't think UTAP's worldview is simple, and I think that was a bit insulting. I wouldn't say that. I think it is okay to call out victim mentality because it is a problem, but it's not the only thing going on. There's levels to this. All right, here we go. Oh, you meant my worldview. I mean, I think there's value to what you both are saying. I don't think that's a overly simplistic comment. What about my worldview is simplistic? I appreciate it. I appreciate it when people come in here and challenge me on my views. So I appreciate you saying that. I would call that a little bit insulting, but I don't think that's the way you meant it, so I'm not going to take offense. Move this. It's simplistic and relativism to its core. No. I'm confused. What is simplistic about acknowledging that victim mentality and inequality of opportunity both exist, and those are both two valid things to talk about? I don't understand what's so simplistic about that. I'm gonna play a little Frank Zappa here for this next set. Let's go. Peaches and Regalia is such a damn good song. Here are you, philosophy to great length, just interested in how you calculate it. Okay, did you have questions about my calculations then? Okay. I'll talk a little bit about safety margins here, okay? That's a good question. And by the way, as far as if you want to see the text details written out, I have that written on my Discord. There's only so much I can do on one whiteboard, but safety margins. As an engineer, I'm a huge fan of these. As a nuclear engineer, I am legally required to be a huge fan of these. Okay, so safety margins. First one, assume Social Security and Medicare does not exist and you're not going to get shit from it. It probably will exist in probably a diminished form when I'm 65, but I ignore it. Oh my goodness, Swole CC, let's go. We're gonna have to finish this later in just a moment, POC, but howdy everybody. Welcome on in. Swole CC, thank you very much for the raid. I'll go ahead and give you a shout out in just a moment. Raiding with a party of 56. Welcome on in everybody. So my name is BullMuscle. I do weightlifting streams and also talk about finances, philosophy. Someone was asking about safe withdrawal rates and how much you need to be able to be financially independent. Something I will achieve before I turn 30. I'm 28 years old. Let me go ahead and let me give Swole CC a shout out before I do anything else. That's important and she deserves it because she's awesome. So anybody who is in my channel, let's go ahead and give a shout out to Swole CC. Thank you very much. So, how was your workout? I assume you were working out today, Swole CC. What was going on for you? Or any of the Raiders? If you know, I know a lot of the time, you just get off the air, last thing you want to do is hang out in a Twitch chat. So, Swole, if you gotta go, that's fine. Raiders, what was she up to today? Was she lifting? If so, what kind of lifting was she doing? Was she doing upper body, lower body, something else, cardio? What you got? While you do that, I'm gonna do another set. But first I want Peaches and Regalia by Frank Zappa. She hit back. Oh, nice. Little lats, little delts. Love it, love it, love it, love it. We're doing Arnold presses right now. Visited a new gym. Oh, baller. Well, if she's ever in my parts of the wood, my neck of the woods here in rural South Carolina, she's more than welcome to stop in for a lift. I know that'll never happen because nobody likes traveling to my neck of the woods. Because I live in a town with 0 grocery stores, 8 churches, and dozens of Confederate flags. Low cost of living does have some downsides. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 5. 7. 2, 3. 8. 9. Oh, 10. That's good. That's good. That's real good. All right. So we'll write that down. We got front raises and side raises to do next. Have your stream. Hey, thank you very much for hanging out with me, Beast and X. I appreciate that immensely. So, while I rest for the next set, what I was covering in Raiders to explain is, so people ask me about this little countdown clock I have here in my bottom left corner. What it says is financially independent, I'm free 473 days. What that means is, beyond that point, the investment income I get from the capital I have in the markets will be greater than my total spending, my expenses. In other words, I spend enough, or I spend low enough, and I've invested high enough to where basically I can live off the capital forever. Now, we were talking about safety margins too. My safe withdrawal rate here, by the way, I use 3.2 to 3.3%. That's just what I choose. I think it's a nice middle ground between an overly conservative 3% and a perhaps slightly too aggressive 4%. Now, other safety margins. It also assumes I never work again. It's assuming I'm never going to find some kind of odd job or something fun that I like doing anyway that happens to make a little money on the side, right? This is assuming I never ever get another cent, right? And even if I make something like $10,000 a year from a side hobby, let's say I really enjoy doing this with you guys, and I make peanuts off of it right now. But what if I was streaming 5-6 times a week? Well, maybe I'd make a little bit more, maybe I'd get a little bit higher audience, maybe I'd be, able to, even if it's just, let's say, $2,000 to $3,000 a year from this. Well, $2,000 to $3,000 a year, as we've seen, that's equivalent to having $50,000 to $66,000 invested, right? That's a huge chunk of money, right? All of a sudden, that drastically lowers what your savings or what your safe withdrawal rate, or lowers what your withdrawal rate is going to be relative to, what you want your ceiling to be. Another one, this is assuming below average returns, right? When we're doing all these Monte Carlo simulations, right, we're looking for what year is going to be the worst equivalent for a 50 or 60 or whatever your retirement frame. In general, those years are 1966 to 1973. And an interesting little quirk, if you started retiring with primarily a stock market-based portfolio in 1966, you'd have actually done worse than 1929. This is because in 1929 you had deflation, which means the money you did have actually became worth more over the couple of years because you had what was called a liquidity trap and all sorts of other things associated with the Great Depression that probably won't ever happen again based on the fact that the government would just spend more money in that instance to stave deflation off. It's just, realistically, that's what's going to happen, right? Whereas in 1966 to 1973, primarily due to the effects of the Interstate Highways Act of 1956 and its consequences, you knew it was coming, the United States overcooked its economy in the late 60s. We spent a lot of money on NASA, the Great Society, the Vietnam War, and we consumed a shit ton of oil. So in 1973, when we had the first oil shock, when we had the OPEC oil embargo because we supported the Israelis in the Yom Kippur War, I'm not talking about whether or not that was the right decision, I'm simply talking about that it happened. Oil prices went through the roof overnight, caused a massive shock to the United States economy, and spurred a decade of inflation. That's why the 1970s are not really seen too fondly by most people, right? So that's the worst possible case scenario, really, in terms of if you want to live off of stocks, the 70s are the worst case scenario, not the 30s, believe it or not. So even looking at that though, even if we have a repeat of the 70s, in all likelihood, if you have a 3.2% withdrawal rate, you're going to do just fine. In fact, you'll come out of it far stronger than basically everybody else. And again, this is making the assumption that I don't make a red cent after I hang it up from my day job, which is, I think, a bit unrealistic. So when you factor all those things in, the answer for me at an annual expenditure rate of $17,000, $18,000 a year is, I need a little bit more than $500,000 a year. That's it. There you go. And it's not necessarily about retiring at that number, but it's about having the ability to retire. Because once you have that ability, you can't get fucked with on your job because you can tell your employer, eat a dick, I'm gonna do what I want. In general, when you do that, you become far more competent at your job anyway because you don't have to suck the manager's dick. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. I'm telling you, it's not so much about retiring, it's about having the ability to do that where the manager can't call your bluff. It gives you the power in your job. Oh, it's so satisfying. I promise you it's worth it. All right. Let's do some races and then that'll be it for the day in terms of working out. We'll do Q&A after that. We have 3 sets apiece of front sides. That is too heavy. I wish I could do front raises with 50-pound dumbbells. I would be swinging them like an absolute lunatic if I were. There we go. So what are your plans for retirement? my plans for retirement, I don't know. Maybe it's retire to the country in a place like this, continue streaming. Maybe it's go kind of van life it for a few years. Maybe right now, with this next job coming up, sounds like a lot of fun. It's going to be in a fun location. Maybe it's continue working for a few extra years, not because I have to, but because I want to. This involves any semi-expensive endeavor, it throws your plan out the window. But what is a semi-expensive endeavor, right? We're talking about, like, take travel, for instance. Why is travel so expensive? Well, travel's so expensive because oftentimes you have to do it in a compressed window, you can only go to Europe for 2 weeks, for instance. Well, as it turns out, it's far cheaper, right? You amortize the cost to travel across the ocean if you can, stay over there for 6 months instead of 2 weeks, right? And you can find ways to lower your costs that way. There's a reason broke college students can travel across Europe for a fraction of the cost of, tourists in their 40s. 17K spending per, you mean per year? I spend $17,000 per year. Traveling is pretty much of the question at this budget. No, it's not. You can travel for very little money. Now, obviously, if you choose only expensive countries like Norway and Switzerland, yeah, that's going to rack up the expense levels. But why would you pick those, right? Why wouldn't you pick something a bit more, I don't know, sane? Oh. One, two. Again, this is also assuming I make not a red cent while I'm over there doing odd jobs, which is, again, I think a rather ridiculous assumption to make. But if you make it, it means you're very, very likely to outlast your money. Not to mention, over time, because you've got such a low withdrawal rate, it's very likely that your fortune will grow, which means 10 years from now, I'll have even more money saved, which means I can raise my expenses if I wish to. All right, then we switch the sides. Come on. There's a very famous quote, well, in my philosophical neck of the woods, from a guy by the name of Jacob Fisker. He's the man who created Early Retirement Extreme. And he has said, spending money to fix your problems represents a failure in creative thinking to solve them via other means. Think about that for a moment. Right, let's talk about places you could travel and live for very reasonable amounts of money. Thailand, the Philippines, Mexico, even parts of Europe that maybe are looked over. Poland, right? Romania, Bulgaria. These are some very beautiful places. Much of what was formerly Yugoslavia. These are beautiful places that get overlooked because everybody wants to go to France and Italy and Switzerland. That's the point. Hell, even Italy. Just stay away from Venice and Rome and the other, very big tourist traps. Go look at southern Italy, right? The places that, frankly, need your tourism dollars more anyway. Thailand's getting quite expensive now. That's true. Well, okay, so parts of Thailand. Bangkok and Phuket are getting a lot more expensive than, the inner parts of Thailand. They're maybe a bit less experienced. Another great country to look at in that regard is Indonesia and even Vietnam. Now, Vietnam is run by a communist government, but in general, they're a little bit less ridiculous than the Chinese, is what I would call them. Excuse me for just 1 second, folks. Got the... This is the problem with too much caffeine and too much water right here. Bally's went from 90-cent beers to now $1.50 to $2 or so in the last 8 years. Interesting you mentioned that. This is actually one place where my expenses will naturally go down because I am looking to improve my health, not even because I'm looking to save money. For 2024, I'm going to go dry. I have no interest in, I'm just not going to drink this year, period. As it turns out, you save 100% of the money you're not spending on booze. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 10. Nice. All right, one more of those, and then we're done. Tone loves, that is a name right there, holy shit. All natty, yes, I have to be. I'm a nuclear engineer. I get drug tested at my job. Even if I wanted to take steroids, which I don't, I can't. I would get fired. You ever get elbows straight from keeping arms straight? Do you mean elbow strain? If you're asking about whether or not my elbows hurt doing these, the answer is no because, yeah, strain. The answer is no because I don't do this at heavy weight, right? Those dumbbells right there, those were 20-pound dumbbells. With a weight that light, you're still getting really good blood flow and pump to your delts, but you're not putting that much strain on your elbows because it's not that heavy. Am I on creatine? Yeah, I take creatine. Creatine's 100% legal. It's a supplement. You can find creatine in foods. It's just somewhat more difficult relative to, say, taking creatine powder as a supplement. As far as other supplements, I take whey protein because it's convenient, not because it's any better than any other form of protein. If we get a long period of not sunny days here, occasionally I'll take a vitamin D pill. And if I don't get enough fish in my diet, occasionally I'll take a fish oil. That's it. Is there anything else? Sometimes when I need a boost for my workouts, I'll take caffeine, like just a 200 milligram caffeine pill. That's it too. Again, that's pretty easy. By the way, speaking of ways to save money, a canister of caffeine pills on Amazon is $20. You get 500, 200 milligram caffeine pills. Compare that to the concurrent amount of energy drinks or pre-workout you'd have to buy to get the same result. You're gonna save 75, 80% of what you'd spend. Respect, man, good to stay natty. I have no problem with people who go on the cycle. I only have problems when they lie about it, because that distorts the perception of what is possible. Anyway, one other assumption about this, by the way, that I didn't mention. Okay? This is also assuming, so your returns here.
This is also assuming no other sources of passive income. For instance, let's say no passive income. That means if I own a house like I do now, this is assuming I don't have tenants who help me pay the mortgage or who pay me rent, right? So this just makes it even, right, that's just another layer of safety. All of these safety factors means this 3 to 4% is already incredibly conservative. So I'm not worried about running out of money, I'll put it that way. And the worst case scenario, if all of this fails is, oh, looks like my net worth is falling a little bit too much, I guess I'll go back to work for a year or two, to pad my finances and then try it again. There's no great shame in that. Do you do all your workouts at home? I don't. I do my workouts on Fridays and Saturdays here at the moment. Right now I'm doing 4 workouts a week. My other 2, because the equipment at my work gym has certain items that this doesn't, and the converse, for instance, I have a squat rack here, but I have a leg press at the gym at my workplace. So I mix and do what I need to do at one place versus what I need to do at another. Yeah, creatine, I don't think creatine is a drug. I think creatine is a supplement. I think creatine is similar to like protein. I don't think creatine is a drug. Is it? Because it doesn't give you any psychoactive effects. What creatine mostly does is it takes water that's stored in your skin and puts that water in your muscle to make your muscles look a little bit bigger. But I don't think that makes it a drug. I think really, today will go down your personal history. Just got cursed out by Roger Goodell. Fucking world star. Fuck Roger Goodell. And fuck the NFL while you're at it. So good for you. Love, Will, mad respect for that. That is absolute all-star behavior. There we go. No, I don't. You know what? I'm gonna Google this. I would not consider creatine a drug. But let's see what we got here. Is creatine a drug? If it is, I mean that's fine. I certainly wouldn't call it a PED. Because creatine, it's a chemical, but it's found in red meat and seafood. It's a naturally occurring substance. But then, so is caffeine. Caffeine is naturally found in coffee, but caffeine very much is a drug, because it's got psychoactive properties. It looks like the jury's out. Some people say creatine, some say it's a compound, some say it's an amino. See, creatine, it's an amino acid. I wouldn't call that a drug. I guess you could probably make an argument, but at this point it's semantics. It's certainly not a psychoactive drug. That I can tell you. Creatine doesn't change your mental state. Testosterone is naturally found in the body. I would say testosterone, right? To me, okay, so I think we're getting into a semantics argument. To me, a drug is something that changes, that has a psychoactive effect, that changes your mental processes. This is what alcohol does. It's a depressant, right? This is what cannabis does. Cannabis can be it's a psychoactive substance. This is what LSD or even caffeine does, right? Those are all things that change your brain processes. To the extent of my knowledge, creatine doesn't do that. However, testosterone does. Steroids do, I would not call creatine a drug. That's just my opinion. But, you're welcome. You're entitled to your own opinion. All right. Let's go ahead and throw one more set up. We're going to do, this is really lightweight. We're going to do 20-pound front raises and then just 10-pound side raises, but we're going to try and go really high, full range of motion here. Really slow, too. So throw in a little Uriah Heep, and we'll go from there. Good questions today. I've been enjoying this conversation a lot. Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily call creatine a drug. I think you can make an argument either way. I would lean towards no. To me,
I mean, I personally would not call it a drug, but I respect your opinion if you believe it is. Either way, I would certainly say taking creatine supplements does not mean you're not natty. I would say natty, if you're taking, testosterone, I'll put it this way, okay. Let me put it this way, right? When I say natty, right, to me, natty is, if you're not natty, right, I would say that you're taking performance-enhancing substances, right, that are going to psychoactively change how you recover and physiologically change how you recover to allow you to push more weight faster and grow muscle faster, right? Things like tren or things like, I would say if you're taking excess testosterone that isn't like medically prescribed by a doctor, that to me would be, I would consider that not natty. Really, I'll put it this way. If you're injecting shit, that's probably not natty. But y'all, I think it's a semantics argument. I certainly would, if you're taking creatine, I think you're still natty. Like, creatine does not make you not natty. Just my opinion. All right, here we go. Oh, we're mixing it. It's amazing how much I warm up the garage just by lifting. Six, 7, 8, 9. Oh, shoulders are killing me now. That's good. That's really good. Of my magic. All right. So that's it for the workout section. Let's move on to the Q&A. Time to go to the gym myself. Hey, Thundergun, thanks for hanging out, and thanks again for the resub, man. I really appreciate that. Y'all, hey, okay. POSC, Yug Tough. Y'all, guys. Stay civil, please. Don't make me break up what was otherwise a really interesting philosophical conversation by having to do heavy-handed moderator work. Come on, that's not fun. Keep it civil, please, for my sake. I'm cold, working on Saturday. It snowed because I drove that damn Bentley with the traction control coming on every 5 seconds. I'm sure, because I think that's a V8, maybe a V12. I'm sure it's got stupid amounts of power. So much power that in the snow, you're rendered very useless. It's rendered useless because you're going to just skid the tires. I guess the league office harassed me with a placement over a fucking glass of milk in an ad we cut. I haven't attacked anyone. I'm not saying it. Okay, look, y'all are POC. First off, stop calling people negative IQ. But like y'all, okay, let's be civil, please. All right, let's move on. Okay, this is getting a little bit too. It's getting a bit too confrontational for my liking, and I don't really feel like modding. So let's move on and ask a few other questions here. For what it's worth, just to reiterate, I do use creatine. That's one of really that's the only supplement I use on a day-to-day basis, and it's 5 grams a day. So if you want to claim that makes me not natty, you have the right to do that. I have the right to disagree with you.
Anywho, mostly because you can find creatine in red meat and fish, and I eat red meat and fish. The thing is, Pinot, thank you very much. You can increase levels of creatine by eating tons of meat. Do you increase testosterone naturally that much? Interesting. That's an insight I didn't realize that was the difference. Well, you know, that actually makes a lot of sense. Creatine is still natty. I agree with that. This is a good question. So I would consider creatine just a supplement. Yeah. All right. Cool. Well, anywho, that was an interesting debate. Do we have any other questions about? Let's leave that question where it is and see. Do you guys have any other questions? This is now the Q&A section of the stream, where you guys can ask me just about anything. Let me go ahead and update my notebook here for what I had. I had a protein shake, and earlier I had milk. A pint of 2% milk is 240 calories, 16 grams of protein, 10 grams of fat, and 26 grams of carbs. And the protein was 380 calories, 64 grams of protein, 7 grams of fat, and 17 grams of carbs. What is your goal bulk weight? I'm bulking quite fast. So, yeah, I was bulking faster than I would have wanted to the last few weeks, but to be fair, most of that bulk came over Christmas, and I'm not going to sit here and not stuff my face with cookies over Christmas. I don't care. Life is too short not to do that. I'm going to be merry and jolly over the holidays and do pretty well. So, okay, I was 205 in the middle of November. Right now, I weighed in at 221 this morning. My goal is 235 to 240 by the end of February. At this rate, it feels like I kind of got up to about 220 very easily. It feels like I'm kind of hard gaining a bit here the last week or so, but that's kind of okay. I was gaining weight a little bit too quickly through the holidays, which again, to be expected. It's to be expected given that, I mean, realistically, come on, it's Christmas. What are you gonna do? Bench PR, all time is 355. When I most recently tested it, I only got 335. But that was at the beginning of the bulk cycle and at the end of a pretty lengthy cut. So realistically, I think at the end of my bulk, I'd love to get 360. We'll see about that one, but I'd like to see 350 go up again at least. How tall am I? I'm 6'3", which in metric is, I believe, 191 centimeters. No, my chest is definitely a bit overdeveloped relative to the rest of my body. Always has been. Really ever since high school, because I had a couple lower body injuries when I was playing high school for football, right? And so you got to stay with the team. You still got to do the team workouts. Well, what does that mean? Bench press, bench press, bench press, bench press all day long. Because, you know, if you've got a busted up knee or ankle, you can't squat, can't do deadlifts, and you can't do cleans. So, well, it's going to be a whole shit ton of bench. And so I ended up doing that. And in those days, I was lifting with my dad, who nearly lost his leg as a veteran, and as a result, couldn't really squat either. So we would just hit crazy amounts of bench, and I am, in a lot of senses, still a recovering bench pro, I will admit. Dude, if you're benching 308, that's pretty good. Hey, Love Will, thank you very much for the alert. Please, Love Will, I want you to get on my Discord and start talking to me in the financial section. I got shit I can teach you. Promise you, it'll be worth your time. I can't bench for shit, so I've stopped doing it. Tone, that's a bad rationale to stop. Unless unless you feel like you're getting hurt. Excuse me. Unless you feel like you're hurting something when you're benching, just because you're not good at something doesn't mean you should stop. You're 160 pounds and you did 185 as PR. Dude, if you can bench your own body weight, you're not doing that bad. Look, I would say that's still, right, could you be better at it? Sure, but we all could be better at it. I think you're beating yourself up a little bit too much. Be a little bit more positive, be a little bit more optimistic, and stick to it. Maybe try some variations, maybe some wide bench, maybe some dumbbell bench. If you've got like a balance issue, you know, your right or your left is stronger than the other, try dumbbell bench. Try some chest flies if you want to work hypertrophy, stuff like that. You may find that helps you get over a plateau if you're stuck. So, Tone, don't give up on bench press just because it's harder for you. Squat has always been harder for me because, well, at 6'3", I have to travel a lot lower to get to parallel than someone who's, say, 5'8", right? Work is force times distance. That's a dot product, force by distance. That's a physics equation, right? So
if you're doing more distance, if you have to come down further to get to parallel and then come back up, well, you're naturally going to do more work, even though the force being applied to move the weight is the same. You're top 5% in strength in the world. I do appreciate that. If you can squat twice my weight, I'm not quite at twice my weight. My all-time PR is 410. Actually, when I hit 410, I was just about 205 pounds. So yeah, about twice my weight. Bench 1.5 times my weight. I can do that. And deadlift 2 times. All-time PR for deadlift is 455. I think I've got more in the tank than that. So for me, okay, this is just a personal rule of thumb. When I 1 rep max my deadlift, if it doesn't come up easy, I abandon it. It's not worth getting 10 extra pounds on your 1 rep max for deadlift. I think the risk of injury, 1 rep max in your deadlift is higher than 1 rep max in your bench or your squat. Just my opinion. Do what you're comfortable with. But for me, if the deadlift doesn't come up easy, I don't do it. So, 455 came up pretty easy. So I think at the end of my bulk, I'm hoping at least 475. I would be thrilled to get 500. We'll see whether or not that happens. It might not. But I definitely think I've got more in me than 455. What's main issues with balance? Honestly, I have some balance issues too. I notice it when I lunge. It's lower body balance in general. Upper body balance has gotten pretty good. My opinion is if you've got like balance issues with chest, your 2 best things to do are dumbbell bench. And the reason for dumbbell bench, let me explain. I can actually demonstrate this. The reason for dumbbell bench, let me raise up a touch, turn the camera down, and then just grab the 10 pounds. Don't need to go heavy. Right, so the reason with dumbbell bench, with a barbell bench, it's all the same member, right? With a dumbbell bench, it's 2 individual. That means when you go down, right, you have to be working balance, not just up, down, and not just forward, back, but left, right in a way that they're not interconnected. So you have to try and push them up simultaneously and down simultaneously, and it works your auxiliary muscles around the pectoralis major a little bit better. I'm a huge fan of dumbbell bench as a supplement to barbell bench. It sounds to me, if you've got whole left side is weaker, so if your left side is weaker, and that's the case in a lot of lifters who maybe haven't done a lot with dumbbells, try dumbbell bench. I strongly recommend it. Another one you should do is dumbbell chest flies. Same thing, so take your dumbbells, but instead of, where a bench, you come down like a bench press and come back up. With flies, do it real slow. Do not do flies at heavy weight. Come real slow and up. That will help. Another one you can do, you saw the dumbbell extensions I was doing earlier, right? I was doing those with one arm. If you do those with one arm and you do it at the same weight, it will help even out. So there's some good advice for you. You've never seen me do any pull-ups because I don't really have a good pull-up bar here. Sometimes I do pull-ups. I have a door frame pull-up bar, but I do plenty of pull-ups. Usually I do them at the site gym. Is my back underdeveloped? Yes. However, I also do quite a few lat pull downs. I would say in general, yeah, I would agree. My lats are underdeveloped relative to my pecs, but I have actually put in a lot of work, and I've seen my barbell row numbers come up, my pull-up numbers come up, and my lat pull down numbers come up over the last year. Is it where I want them to be? Yes. Or sorry, is it where I want it to be? No. Is it better than it was? Yes. So just because you don't see me doing pull-ups doesn't mean I'm not doing them. I can promise you that. Pull-ups are overhand grip. Yes. In general, I call pull-ups are overhand, chin-ups are underhand. I also sometimes do cross grip because it feels really good on the biceps. You can do, okay, so pull-ups, there's another one. I highly recommend varying your grip a lot. So when you do pull-ups, a shoulder width grip is great. Slightly wider is also great. A really wide grip has a lot of value on the sides too. And the same thing applies to a pull-down like a cable pull-down machine. All that equipment, space, and no pull-up bar. Okay, you have to remember, right, it's very likely that I'm going to be selling my house and moving soon. So there's not as much of a point. What I do have, I'll show you this. I do have the door frame pull-up bar.
just not doing that right now because my pull-ups I'm putting on my deadlift days right now. I'm putting them on my back days. So my deadlift days I'm doing at the site gym right now, so you guys aren't seeing them. That's why you guys are seeing me do, right, I'm only doing 4 workouts a week at the moment with this 70s powerlifter program, and as such, that means my Saturdays is press and my Fridays is squats, so you're not seeing that as much. So you have a rack, place a barbell up high and grip it. So I'm too tall for that. I've tried that actually. So I like the thinking there as far as placing the barbell like here, but even if I bend my knees will sometimes touch the ground. Sometimes I'll take the top of the rack, right? You get the idea? The trouble is, this is a square rack, and it hurts like an absolute bitch on my hands. I mean, you can see some of the calluses I've got on the palms of my hands from doing that. I've got the proof that sometimes I do that, but for this conference call, it's a V12. Of course it's a V12. 620 horsepower doesn't work on a snow-covered lakeshore drive. That doesn't surprise me. Yeah, that's a little too much power, I think. And your car seems to think so as well because it keeps putting traction control on. Cheers, love, Will. I hope to see you on the Discord. So, used to do PPL. I usually do a push-pull leg on my cut cycles. Right now I'm trying something new. I'm trying Alex Bromley's 70s powerlifter. So I'm really inspired by, you know, the likes of Roger Estep, the likes of Bill Kazmaier, you know, the guys that 50 years ago did not have a fraction of the diet, exercise, or, you know, technological know-how that we have today, but we're still getting incredible results. Not to mention, right, I have a fairly simplistic setup here. So if I go with the old school stuff, probably gonna get old school results, which is baller as hell. I mean, Roger Estep, you look at that man. I'll put it this way. Roger Estep's the ultimate test to see where you are on the Kinsey scale. If you look at Roger Estep and you're not at least a little bit like, ooh, that guy is really handsome and looks amazing, you're probably 100% straight. As for me, I think Roger Estep, especially in those pictures from the 70s, is fucking incredible. 50 years ago, they had a lot of steroid use then too. Yes, a lot of those guys were on fucking rocket fuel, but at the same time, that doesn't invalidate what they were doing. They were still coming up with some really great ideas that have stood the test of time. Another one that I'm really a fan of is called, I've used Boost Camp as well. So there's actually one, if you look at Bromley's 70s powerlifter on Boost Camp, there's actually a problem. There's a discrepancy between his video explaining the program and his Boost Camp explaining the program, and I wish I'd have an answer to it, but that's a different conversation. I was saying about that earlier. Anything you do about genetically small wrists. So yeah, if you have small wrists, there's not a ton you can do for the wrists itself. What you can do is forearm curls. So, you know, get on a flat surface like a bench, right? And curl your wrists. That's gonna work your forearms. Now, that's not gonna increase the size right here, but the forearms, larger forearms, might make it a little bit more proportional, just as an example. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Boost Camp. I like Boost Camp a lot. I think there's a lot of really cool stuff on it. Now, I will say, proof of Bromley's more powerlifting-oriented style comes through here when he says his 70s powerlifter has a ton of volume, which I don't think it does. Not really. What's your hand length? Let's find out. What's your hand length? It's measured from the tip of your middle finger to the end of your wrist. Okay, so to the end of my wrist, from the tip of my middle finger, just a little over 8 inches. Don't know quite what that counts to in centimeters, but someone was talking about wingspan. Won't be 100% exact, but it'll be close. Alright, so wingspan. Okay, so this says, and I kept my middle finger at the tip of the tape measure. The tape measure is 3 inches exactly, so 3 inches plus 71 inches, so 74 inches or thereabouts. Give or take an inch, how about that? So between 73 and 75 inches, which means I forget what that's called, relatively proportional. So I'm 75 inches tall and 74 inches width. That's pretty good, I think. I don't know, actually. I'm in kinesiology, not a complete noob, just looking for extra tips, you know. I highly recommend, if that's the case, Tone, check out Discord, Neutral Ape Index. Right now I'm doing that 70s powerlifter workout. I've enjoyed it. The most effective workouts I've ever done were super squats, but super squats is fucking miserable. You will not find a more effective program, but it is so fucking hard. Oh my God. I'll put it to you this way. Super squats is debilitating and everybody should do it once. Once you've done it once, you're never ever going to want to do it again. But there is a reason it works. Those 20 rep sets are absolute fucking hell. Yeah, super squats, I've done it. Man. So I will say, I'm pretty proud of this, actually, to be honest. I'm more proud of having a 300, I think I did it with 320 pounds for a 20 rep set. I'm more proud of that 20 rep set than I am of a 410 pound max. Ego lifting causes more injuries than anything, right? I would say either ego, really? Light just gonna go out like that? Either ego lifting or inexperience. A lot of times people will get hurt because they don't quite understand what they're doing, not because there's any, insecurity about what they're doing. Have you uploaded it yet? What, my super squats? When I did a 20 rep? I mean, that was weeks ago, but yeah, it's on the highlights in this channel, and I put it on YouTube as well. But yeah, no, that's the thing with super squats. I agree. Like super squats, do it once, because what I think is the most valuable about super squats is, first off, if you're gonna do super squats, read the fucking book. It's worth it. It's not a long read, it's not a difficult read, but it explains to you a lot of the keys to getting through that unbelievably painful 20 rep set, including mentally psyching out beforehand, including the way you should be eating, and including a lot of the historical perspective of the guys who have done this program, which really honestly dates as far back to like the fucking 40s, right? So with super squats, oh my God, it's a bitch and a half, but it is extremely effective. You will be surprised at how much strength you find out that you had all along. But yeah, I POC, you're correct there. Would not recommend doing it very regularly. It is extraordinarily difficult. Yeah, UTOF, it seems like if it's 4 a.m. where you're at, gosh, that means you're over probably around the Middle East or India or something. You're all the way across the world. For me, it's just a little bit before noon here. So yeah, Tone, yeah, absolutely. If you got to get going, that's cool. Thanks for coming on in. Oh, you're in Australia. All right, cool. Oz is baller as hell. That's fantastic. Well, it's been good talking to you two. I'm glad y'all have come in. I've enjoyed it quite a lot. But yeah, as far as super squats is concerned, I agree with POC. Don't do it all that regularly. Definitely do it once because it's a really good way to challenge how tough you are mentally. But oh God, dude, it's almost like you're hitting, you almost get into a sort of a semi-hypnosis state or an out-of-body experience those last few reps. It's just, your brain is just in a different dimension. Those last 5. Your body, you're breathing like a steam engine, you're trembling, like you are shaking coming up. holding that weight. You're taking 10, 15 seconds of heavy breaths in between each last rep. The whole set could be 2 to 3 minutes. It's fucking wild. I've also done, by the way, a set of, I did try a beltless set. I think it was at like 275 or 280, just because the book does say to do it without a belt. I think that's insane, personally. I did it just to say that I could. I would not do it on a regular basis. That just seems like you're asking for, you know, maybe you didn't breathe enough times, or maybe, you know, you, whatever reason, the weight slipped a little bit, and it just seems like a very easy way to lead into injury. So I just don't bother with that. I recommend using a belt if you're going to do super squats. Just my opinion. By all means, do you. All right, so I think that's about all we've got for this episode today. If you guys have further questions, ask now. Otherwise, I think we're going to go and look for someone to raid. Who have we got? We got Jasu, Jacob Lyle, Benjamin Highlife, Big Game Mikey. I think I might throw it to Big Game Mikey because I like him and he's continuing to teach himself. Oh, he's playing a game today. I thought he was doing, he's normally been doing streams of learning how to play Python and shit, but I'm gonna still send him y'all's way. I see BitLife and Sheik are on too, but I'm gonna go with, oh yeah. I'm gonna go with Big Game Mikey. So, do we have any other questions before we get going to this raid? I'll give you all 30 seconds to ask them, and while I do that, I'll give you guys a moment to screenshot this. Okay. There we go. Throw that in there. All right, looks like no other questions, so we're gonna raid our big friend, Big Game Mikey. There we go. Raid message is gonna be Bull Rush, y'all. Okay, so we're gonna just go ahead and say raid message Bull Rush. There we go. Okay. So yeah, we're gonna raid our good friend Big Game Mikey. He's a moderator on my channel, and he's in the middle of trying to reinvent his career. So I have a lot of respect for that. I want to see it happen. So we're gonna raid him, and it's gonna be awesome. Okay, awesome. We just need to. Why is this taking so long? That's very strange. Shouldn't be. Come on, 5, 4. Anyway, well, I appreciate y'all coming out. I appreciate the follows, the resubs. Thank you very much, Thundergun. I think there are a couple other people there. I'm going to send y'all thank yous after the fact. That's it for me, y'all. Make good decisions. Those good decisions form your actions. Those actions form your habits. Those habits form your values. Your values can form an ethos, give you the guide star through the rough waters of life. Much love, y'all. Come in for the hug. And raid. Did it do it? Yes, there it goes. All right, YouTube, it's been fun. Talk to you tomorrow.